Hi, Anna. Um, Before I start making my characterization, I just wanted to tell you that uh, Anna and I have worked together on this characterization, but we chose to make two videos because we thought it would be easier to film. So we're probably gonna say like sort of the same things. And we've chosen to make a characterization of Chris. Chris is this typical white Williamson prep guy on the outside. He he's white for once, and then he's also rich, which is obvious when we enter his home, where they have this like entire house for just the housekeeping and the maintenance, and then on Chris's ginormous room, in his room he has like half an basketball court, and his his room is like an entire floor. Yes, and also he lives in the same neighborhood as Uncle Carlos, which is a rich, like, it's a very rich neighborhood. And then even though Uncle Carlos has a big house, then Chris's house is described as a lot bigger. So Chris has a lot of money. And also Chris can't dance, which Star says is like a white guy thing, because they try to take these black moves and then make him cool, but they can't because they're white and they can't dance like black people. But then Chris is also a bit different from like the ordinary Williamson prep guy. He mixes his own music, which is seen on page 107, where he plays this to his teammates in the gym hall while they play basketball. And like Chris shows that mixing music can be cool if you're white and it's like different, but if it was Star who were mixing her own music, then it would be a bit weird, or so Star thinks, because she's black. And also he likes to wear sneakers like Star, so that's like a common love for them. And in a way, Chris can be characterized like this fake black guy, the guy who wears sneakers and mixes his own music. Like he mixes this Kanye mix for Star, which shows that he also listens to the same kind of music Star does, and that's also like black music. So, and also he no, there were no more, but what would have made him even more like a fake black guy would be if he were also using like the black slang, like nigger for example, but luckily he doesn't, because he's also a very well-behaved young man. And when it comes to Chris's like personality, he has these stereotypes for black people, like not like he's a racist or anything, but he lives in this beautiful neighborhood, like where Uncle Carlos lives, and as Star enters her own new neighborhood, we hear that it's a bit like Uncle Carlos' neighborhood, but there's just a lot more diversity. It's like there are more people with their own skin color, with a lot of different skin colors, but where Uncle Carlos and Chris lives, there's not a lot of people with black skin. So it's not like he's racist, but he just doesn't know any better. So he's sort of ignorant towards what life is actually like in like Garden Heights, and what the culture is in Garden Heights, perhaps. Because on page 395 he asks Devante Star 7, Kenya, I think too, is in the car, why they have these weird names, and they do have weird names, but then they ask him like, why is our names any weirder than your name? Like, that's what we're called here. And then on page 228, when Star and Chris sits together they sit together in Uncle Carla's house, then he says something like, oh, is that another black thing that I do not understand? But like, that line also makes me think that it's not only Chris who makes this split between black and white. I think that the split is like brought up by Star, who's probably said a lot of times things like, well, you do not understand it, you're not black, and like, it's just something that black people do, or something like that. The first thing that we hear about Chris is that he loves to make Star smile, which he does, for instance, by rapping or beatboxing to her, like, in the middle of the hall. And in the same situation, we hear that he's just indifferent to what other people think, like their opinions, and so, because Star thinks that the white girls at Williamson Prep doesn't think that she's good enough for Chris, and that they give them these looks, but Chris just acts like they are not there. And then you could ask yourself whether it's Star who like imagines the looks, or if they are actually there. But the bottom line is that Chris is very proud to be with Star. Chris is very humble, even though he's rich. Like, Star talks about this Taco Bell restaurant where Nav took her and Seven, I think, maybe also Sikani, when he got the job at the grocery store, because it was his first real job, which was not like being a gangbanger, and he was very proud about it. So Taco Bell restaurant means a lot to Star. And then Chris like asks her if he should take her there several times, even though it's next to the projects and it's in the bad neighborhood, and Chris could do much better. Then he doesn't care. And then in on line 161, Star says something like, "You're white, I'm black. You're rich, I'm not." And then Chris just simply says, "That doesn't matter." So that also shows that he's both humble and that he doesn't see why these differences should mean that him and Star shouldn't be together. Maybe because he can see all the indifferences. I don't think it's indifferences. I think it's similarities. Sorry. And yeah, Chris has throughout the entire story been head over heels in love with Star, and that's shown in a lot of different situations, but I think it's most clear in his line, "I'm happy to go with her anywhere, no matter what neighborhood it's in." It's like, this just perfectly like say everything that might like sum up Star and Chris's journey, because he says this line when he comes to Garden Heights, Star's real neighborhood, in the ending, and it's like Chris has always been able to and willing to see the Garden Heights Star and Garden Heights, and he just loves Star. That's the only thing that he cares about. But it's Star that has like put up these barriers and chosen not to show him that part of herself. So Chris's development throughout the book is actually just determined by Star and her like development throughout the book, and her opening up throughout the book towards Chris. So it's like Chris's development follows their relationship's development throughout the book. Yes?